What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse back in another video. In today's video, I have another first round mock draft. Yeah, the mock draft, the teams in the order has changed up drastically since the last time I did one of these mock drafts. You can see the Raiders now hold the number 1 pick. The Saints are down at 8, tied with the Chiefs on record, I believe. The Bengals are above the Chiefs now. Um, Buccaneers keep falling. Ravens are climbing. Vikings are probably climbing the most right now. Texans are all the way down to 26. So yeah, there's a lot of changes in the draft order right now. Most importantly, at the number 1 spot, you can see the Raiders are there at number 1 now. And I think this allows them to go the quarterback that they want. It's either Mendoza or Dante Moore. I prefer Dante Moore to Fernando Mendoza, but in my humble opinion, I think that the Raiders will prefer Mendoza to Dante Moore, and that is going to be the first pick in the draft. You can see how great he was this year. Won the Heisman Trophy. True redshirt junior. 6'5", 225. Great frame for a quarterback. Able to make every throw on the field. Very smart football player. Yeah, I think this would be a great pick for the Raiders for their future. Here at number 2 with the Giants, I think you could also trade down from this spot. You could trade down with the Cardinals. You could trade down with the Jets if the Jets want to move up one, to prohibit any other team from moving up. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to, force them to move their other first round pick in this trade. It'll just be 2 for 3 straight up because that's all that matters. And the Jets will be able to take their franchise quarterback in Dante Moore here at number 2. So Mendoza 1, Moore 2. I think this is going to be pretty consensus. It's just what team is going to be the one that takes Dante Moore? Is it going to be the Jets? Is it going to be the Cardinals? Could it be the Browns even? Um, could it be the Dolphins potentially? We don't know. Yet to be seen. But I think the Jets have all the ammunition in the world if they want to go get their quarterback. So that's why Dante Moore is the pick here at number 2. Number 3 to the Giants. I really like the idea of them bringing in someone in that defensive back group or in that linebacker group. I think, again, Nassau has not been great. You want someone opposite of Bobby Okereke that can help enhance his play level. But you also need help on the secondary right now. You have Javon Holland and, Deontay Banks, maybe if you want to count him as a decent corner. So yeah, you could go secondary, you could go linebacker, you could even go wide receiver here if you want to pair someone up with Malik Neighbors. Definitely an option there for the Giants, but in my opinion, I think you need to bolster that secondary group the most. So Caleb Downs is going to go early here at number 3. You don't know how early safety ever really goes in the NFL. Um, but I do think he's probably one of the blue chip players in this class. I think you'd be dumb not to take him. Another blue chip guy, but I think will end up being a defensive lineman, is actually going to be Ruben Bain, who dropped down to number 12, because I don't think he'll be the number 1 edge rusher anymore with how his arm length is set to measure. Looks like he's going to play on the interior in the NFL, but I think Caleb Downs is a great player there for the Giants at number 3. You could ultimately take Arvell Reese if you want to, or Cardinal Tate, 2 very important positions as well. Um, and here at number 4 with the Titans, I think you need pretty much anything you can get in this draft. It's honestly best player available, and I think the second best player in this class is clearly Arvell Reese, and I think you could use help on that linebacker core. You could use help at any position on the field, but I think linebacker does need a lot of help. Missing a lot of tackles. That defense just wasn't great this year at all, nor was the offense, but you saw flashes from the offense. I don't think you saw many flashes from the defense besides when Jeffrey Simmons was making an impact on the football. So for that reason, Arvell Reese is going to be going number 4 to the Titans for me. Here at number 5, though, with the Cardinals, I think this is a trade down spot. I think it's a trade down to a team that wants a wide receiver, wants to get their wide receiver 1 in this class. I talked about them earlier. I think a team that can use a wide receiver is the Dolphins. We'll just go 12 for 5 straight up because they don't have another first round pick. You can see them move a first from next year or potentially 44, 90, and a second next year, something like that. But again, the only thing that matters here is the trading of this pick here. And I think the Dolphins will go with Cardinal Tate. To either play on the boundary and let Jalen Waddle play on the slot, or let Jalen Waddle be that deep guy and then Cardinal Tate play in that slot. Either or, it'll work. But I do really like the Cardinal Tate fit in Miami. Here at number 6, I think it's back-to-back wide receivers. I think this is the most talented wide receiver in this class, and that is Jordan Tyson. I just think the injury history is really going to prohibit his draft stock, but I think a team that wants to take a chance on talent is going to be the Cleveland Browns because they just need all the talent that they can get on that field right now. And I think Jordan Tyson will certainly do that for them, especially if he's able to stay healthy. You probably get the best wide receiver in this class. Um, So yeah, that's the rationale behind it. I think the Browns will be able or will be willing to risk it. And that's why Jordan Tyson goes there. Here at number 7 with the Commanders, I think you go edge rusher here. I like the idea of David Bailey because you just need a guy that can get to the quarterback, but I also like the idea of Kendrick Falk because he's a guy that can play all three downs for you if you really want him to. But yeah, I think the Commanders' biggest miss is that they don't have a guy that can get to the quarterback for them, and I think David Bailey is going to be the one that does that the most in the NFL out of this draft class just because his ghost move, his rush move is so good. Um, you can see the grades has been very consistent throughout the year. 14 sacks in a collegiate season is incredible numbers. I think probably the edge one in this class, considering that Ruben Bain is likely to play on the interior now. So, yeah, there's that. Moving on to number 8 with the Saints, I'm actually going to go Ruben Bain here. I think they need help on the interior defensive line. I think Ruben Bain is one of the most talented players in this class, but I don't think he'll play um, on the outside tackle. I think he'll play in the B gap. I think he'll play potentially over the tackle if you really want him to, playing him out wide. But I think the arm length is really going to prohibit him as an edge rusher in the league. I think he'll play interior defensive line, and I think that's what the Saints need desperately is someone um, better than Brian Brzee. Or someone to pair with Brian Brzee there in the interior defensive line, and I think Ruben Bain would do that for you. So that's what you do to bolster your defensive line. Here at number 7 with the Chiefs, I know it's very early for a running back, but I think best fit in the draft, Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs. Um, if you told me the Chiefs would be picking ninth before this year started, I would have called you crazy, but it's just the way the cookie crumbled this year. Not been their year. And yeah, Jeremiah Love is there for you. One of the best players in this class, one of the blue chip prospects in this class. Went to New York as a Heisman finalist, 18 touchdowns, 17 last year, 35 in 2 years for a collegiate running back. Obviously shows some record of success. And I think he's going to be great in the NFL as well. Um, so yeah, one of the best fits in this draft, Jeremiah Love, to help add some explosion to that Kansas City Chiefs offense in the run game. Moving on to number 10 with the Cincinnati Bengals here. Um, yeah, I'm going to go with. Mm, yeah, I'm going to go Peter Woods here. Just a really, really good interior defensive lineman that has a lot of promise with him. Um, yeah, I think loads of potential. Hasn't really shown you what you wanted from an interior defensive lineman all this year, but again, incredible, incredible player. Um, I think you're banking on potential if you're Cincinnati because you need a lot of help on that interior. So that's why Peter Woods is ultimately your pick. Here at number 11 with the Los Angeles Rams, you could go a multitude of different ways. I think tackle's probably your best bet. Sorry, that's running back. And I think Francis Mauigoa is the best tackle in this class, so that is going to be my pick there at number 11. Here you have the Cardinals, who moved down to number 12. On the Francis Mauigoa pick, I think you need a true right tackle just to replace Rob Havenstein. I think your left side's pretty locked down. Um, so yeah, I think you just try to look for offensive line there. Um, and I think Francis Mauigoa is probably the best offensive lineman in this class. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe when you go Francis Mauigoa, to be honest. So that's why he is going there to um, the Rams here at number 12 with the um, with the Rams or with the Cardinals. Sorry, I'm just completely messing up my words. I'm going back to back offensive lineman. I'm going uh, Olivega Ione here at number 12. I just think he's the best true guard in this class, and I think you need to bolster the interior offensive line more than the exterior. You can see he's a redshirt junior, but he's shown the best tape of any guard in this class, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I think it's not really a reach for a guard. Teams are starting to take guards very early. I like Emmanuel Pregnon a lot. Um, but yeah, I think Ione is a great player. I think that's a great fit there with the Cardinals. Here at number 13 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think you need to really invest in a linebacker core. And Sonny Styles has never really been there for you, but I mean now he is. Um, you're used to drafting where the Panthers have been drafting, but now that they're leading the division, y'all flip flop. And I think Sonny Styles is a perfect fit for you and your defense. I ideally I mock you to Sonny Styles every single time I can, even if you're at 32. Because I just think this is one of the best fits in this class. I think Sonny Styles would work really well in that Tampa Bay defense, even with Todd Bowles probably leaving. Um, but yeah, super, super good linebacker, really good tackler, really good frame, 6'5", 240, plays heavier than 240, but faster than 242. So just a really, really good pick there for the Buccaneers. Here at number 14 with the Dallas Cowboys, I think you look edge rusher here. I think you can get a three-down edge, and that is Kendrick Falk. I think one of the best fits in this class too, because you need a guy that can stop the run on the exterior of your defensive line, on the edge position, and I think Kendrick Falk certainly does that for you. So that's the rationale behind the pick. You lost Micah Parsons. You don't really have a true edge presence besides Donovan Ezaraku, who's truly, in my humble opinion, just an edge rusher. Or, yeah, just a pass rusher, not really a guy that's going to stop the run for you. So that's why you invest in Kendrick Falk. Here at number 15 with the Detroit Lions, I think you need to invest in the offensive line, not knowing or who you're going to lose after this year. And I think Spencer Fano is going to really help you either at left tackle or at right tackle because you're potentially losing Taylor Decker. So maybe you want to move Penei Sewell out to that left-hand side, and then let Spencer Fano slot in on that right. You can see that he played right tackle in college pretty much throughout his whole career besides 2023. Um, and yeah, showed probably some of the best tape in this class as an offensive lineman. Last year was a lot better than this year, but still some decent tape to go with. So that's the rationale behind this pick. I think that Spencer Fano would be great with the Detroit Lions. Very physical player. So yeah, that's why he heads there. Number 16 to the Baltimore Ravens. I do this a lot, but Caleb Banks is going to be the pick again. You need an interior defensive lineman threat that's going to be able to replace Nnamdi Madubuike because we don't know if he's ever going to play a snap again. Really scary injury. Can't say enough or can't have enough prayers for him, but at the same time, as a franchise, you have to look and see if he's ever going to play again. If he's not, then what can we do to replace him? And I think Caleb Banks definitely does that with how powerful his hands are. I think he's just going to be a threat in the NFL, able to stop the run. Really, really, really needed in that Baltimore defense, who's been unable to stop the run. Roquan Smith hasn't been great after losing Patrick Queen. So you just need another force there on that defense, and I think Caleb Banks does that for you. Um, Here at number 17 with the Vikings, I think this is pretty obvious. You just go Jermon McCoy and, next. One of the best players in this class, if you look at his last year's tape, did not play a single snap this year. If his thing wants to load up, which it doesn't. I don't know why. But yeah, hasn't played a snap this year. Showed some really good tape in 2024. One of the best DBs headed into this year. Probably could have gone top 10 if he was healthy. But all the way down at 17, I think the Vikings get a steal. Here at number 18, to pair with Dante Moore, I think the Jets could look at a offensive weapon, but I also think they need defense really, really badly after losing Sauce Gardner, after losing Quentin Williams. So, um, what do you want from this draft? Do you want to go all offense, or would you also like to invest in the places that you lost players at? Um, you have Garrett Wilson, but then you have Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie, so you could have your Garrett Wilson as your X, Adonai Mitchell as your Y, and then Makai Lemon as your Z potentially, or you could just go with a run stopper to really help that defense out that's been very lackluster, and that's what I'm going to do here with Cade McDonald all the way up at 18, but I do think he's one of the best run stoppers in this class. You see the run grade, been great for Ohio State this year. So yeah, that is my pick there at number 18. Here at 19, I think the Panthers are going to need to look at the edge. Um, I thought they should have gone Mike Green last year, but they didn't. And maybe it kind of worked in their favor because Mike Green has been performing his best. But then again, he's a rookie. I'm not really gonna, um, ruin his reputation in my opinion just quite yet. Got an entire rookie contract to play out before you really grade that, especially with how late he went. But here at 19, I think TJ Parker is going to be the obvious fit just because he can stop the run. He can also rush the passer. Really good 2024. Clemson was a mess this year. No one really performed that well besides potentially Avion Terrell if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, TJ Parker can play all three downs as an edge rusher, which is something rare in this class. Only Kendrick Falk, I think, can do that. Potentially David Bailey. If his arm length is good enough, definitely has a decent frame there too. So his athleticism is his key. But T.J. Parker, yeah, really good player there. And I think could really help the Panthers rush the passer, which they have not been able to do this year, but definitely getting a little bit better as of late. Um, Here at number 20, though, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think this is an obvious pick. If Makai Lemon's there, it's Makai Lemon every single day of the week. You have your deep ball guy in DK Metcalf. You need that guy that can be in the intermediate areas and be able to catch passes, secure passes. And I think Makai Lemon does that. Receiver core is very hindered right now without DK Metcalf. You have um, Marquez Valdez Scantling right now as the true number one option. Um, So yeah, just a really riddled wide receiver core. I think Makai Lemon would definitely bolster that group. Here at number 21 with the Cowboys, you went edge earlier, and now it's just what do you want to do to bolster this team? I think you look linebacker here. I think you get Kenneth Murray off the field, and I think you get him off the field with an athlete in C.J. Allen who can fly across the field, do whatever you ask him to do. Can cover tight ends, can even cover slot receivers if you want to with how athletic he is. Decent tackler, hasn't really shown you everything you wanted this year, but I think his 2024 was great as well. So that's the rationale behind the pick. I think he'd be great in Dallas. And moving on to 22 with the Chargers, I think you go guard here. And I think you go Emmanuel Pregnon. I think you just need to bolster that offensive line unit in any way, shape, or form that you can. And I think Emmanuel Pregnon definitely does that for you because he's shown one of the best tapes of any offensive lineman in this class up to this point. Has a game against Texas Tech on Thursday, I believe, so I'm intrigued to see how he does there against Skylar Gill Howard, who has been very productive in getting to the quarterback for Texas Tech this year in terms of pressures. Um, Moving on to 23 with the Eagles, I think they get one of the steals in the draft with Mansour Delane falling all the way down to 23. A guy that you need to pair with Quinyon Mitchell, who just doesn't have any help on the opposite of him. But I think Mansour Delane will definitely be able to do that for you. Transfer to LSU, just been excellent there. Hasn't allowed a touchdown all year. Got burnt a little bit in the Texas A&M game. If you want to see how explosive receivers do against Mansour Delane, that's your key. But I think definitely something that can be refined, and I think he'll be fine in the NFL. Moving on to 24, Cassius Howell is going to be my pick here for the Bills. Just gets to the quarterback at a great rate, and I think you need to replace Joey Bosa. And you paid a lot of money to Greg Rousseau. I think you're going to want to have an edge opposite of him that's going to be able to produce in the way that you want him to. And I think Cassius Howell will be able to do that for you, especially if his role is just to get after the passer. Here at 25 with the Chicago Bears, I think this is going to be an interior defensive lineman, and that is going to be Christian Miller for me. I think stops the run at a very good rate against very good opponents too. Was good against the good teams, also excellent against the bad teams. Just very consistent this year. So yeah, I really like that pick for Chicago, who desperately needs someone in there that can stop the run. And I think Christian Miller would do that for you. Here at 26 with the Texans, kind of worst case scenario for them because both guards did in fact go. So it's kind of just maybe you trade out the first round. Maybe you go Caleb Lomu to play tackle for you because you don't know the future of Trent Brown. But I'm gonna go Caden Proctor. Some really not great tape this year, but I think definitely a project player if you can get him down to 340, 330, and move him to guard. I think you have a player there who's needs to show his physicality off a little bit more, but a very good player nonetheless. A guy that if you make him what he can be, then you have the best offensive lineman in this draft, no doubts about it. But at the same time, it's a big boom or bust player. And I've certainly seen more bust with Proctor than boom, but I think if you project him well enough, then he'll be one of the best players in this class. Um, Here at 27 with the Rams, their true first round pick. They had a first round pick earlier, which they went Francis Mariano with. Now you go someone that can either replace Emmanuel Forbes or play in the nickel for you, and that is Avion Terrell. I'm leaning nickel, to be honest. I think he'll play more on the interior. Plays a lot bigger than 5'11", 180, but at the same time, he is 5'11", 180, so I'm expecting him to play the nickel, to be honest. But at the same time, you could use a nickel over there in Los Angeles. So I don't think you're mad at that pick at all. Here at number 28 with the Cleveland Browns, I think you're looking at offensive line here, and I think Caleb Bloom is the obvious pick. You may lose some tackles. You may lose interior offensive linemen. All of those guys are kind of aging out of their prime, so it's really just trying to get guys in that can replace them by the time that they want to retire. And that's definitely what Caleb Bloom does for you, because he's able to play left tackle, able to play right tackle, can slot in wherever you want him to on either tackle position. Here at number 29 with the San Francisco 49ers, it's going to be Romello Height for me. I think they need a guy on the edge. You don't know how Nick Bosa is going to play headed next year, but you can get a guy that knows how to get to the quarterback, and that is what Romello Height does at an insanely high rate. So, I think a pretty easy pick for Texas Tech there, or not Texas Tech, for the 49ers there at number 29, just because you're getting a guy that can get to the quarterback, and I think you've lacked that this year. Um, so that's why that pick is what it is. Here at number 30 with the New England Patriots, I also think you need an edge threat. I also think you need a guy that can be on the interior offensive line. And I think Jennings Dunker is a guy that can play guard in the NFL. I think he'll go in the first round as well. So I think that makes it a pretty easy pick for the Patriots there at number 30 to get their guard to really bolster that interior offensive line that I think needs help. Um, then moving on to 31 with the Denver Broncos, I'm going Kenyon Sadiq, one of my favorite fits in this class. A guy that can catch the ball at that tight end position. I think you're hoping Ed Ingram would do that, or Evan Ingram, excuse me. Ed Ingram is a guard for the Texans. Evan Ingram is the tight end for the Broncos, who I'm referring to. But yeah, I don't think Evan Ingram has done that for you this year in terms of what you were looking for. But I definitely think Kenyon Sadiq would be able to step in and do a job for you year one, and then potentially be a franchise tight end, which we know that the Broncos are certainly known for having tight ends that last them a long time. And then last but not least, you have the Seattle Seahawks, who could look to improve that interior offensive line as well. Or you could look to improve the cornerback room, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Colton Hood to finish out this draft. Really stepped up in Jermon McCoy's absence this year, and I think a really great player for Tennessee, who's able to play the boundary. He's able to play the nickel as well, but I think definitely has the size to play the boundary. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can all see who went in this first round. So yeah, that is the entire first round. A lot of changes in the draft order. So let me know what y'all think down below. Give me your opinions. Kind of a rapid fire mock draft. Usually these are 40 minutes. This one's 23 minutes for some reason. So yeah, let me know what y'all think down below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.